would like to show you one of my favorite provisional cast-ons. I just prepared a little swatch so you can see what I'm actually talking about. The provisional cast-on gives us the possibility to basically knit in each direction that we want to. We can go this way or that way. We might need it in a sock project or a top-down construction, or maybe you want to knit one of my hats. It includes, one of them actually includes a provisional cast-on as well. But no further ado, I'll show you how we do it. All you need is like a cotton yarn or any yarn that isn't actually too fuzzy, so it wouldn't stick to your working yarn, and of course your working yarn and the matching knitting needles. In this case I'm using like a shorter sock needle, makes it easier to show on camera. So basically the way I do my provisional cast-on is pretty similar to a long tail cast-on. The only difference is that we're actually using both of the yarn. This is my waste yarn and this is my actual working yarn. And this is how we do it. We keep them parallel, and same as in the long tail cast-on, the yarn, the waste yarn is going over your thumb and your working yarn is going over your index finger. Make sure you leave enough tail because we're gonna need it later on when we're finished casting on. With our working needle, we're just gonna actually go through the loop on your thumb, pull the yarn through, and this is the first stitch. For this demonstration, I'm actually going to cast on, let's say, 8 stitches. So now once again, through the loop on your thumb, get the yarn, pull it through, and so on. It's basically the same as you would cast on with your long tail cast on. The good thing about it, you don't have to measure any yarn. You just go and you don't have to measure how long is your project, how wide is your project. You just go and cast on. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 stitches. And believe it or not, that's it. I'm just gonna cut off your waste yarn. We don't need that anymore. It's actually quite efficient because we don't need that much. And another thing I want to tell you why I love it, because there's other methods out there. There is the crochet cast-on, which I like too. But the problem is, let's say you're using a fingering yarn and you have to maybe cast on 250 stitches, and it's quite difficult to keep it up. Some require you to make a little chain, crochet a little chain and then pick up those little bubbles in the end, and it's very difficult. And for me, it's sometimes too annoying, so that's why I stick to that method. So I'm basically done casting on. I turn my work, pick up my other needle, and I just start knitting in pattern as my pattern tells me to. I'm actually going to work one wrong side. Basically, you just knit or purl as you go, because now your stitches are on the needle and the provisional cast-on is done, so you don't have to actually think about anything. The only thing is, try not to get into the provisional cast-on, meaning like don't put your needle inside the waste yarn, because that's going to be a trouble to open up in the end. But other than that, I'm just going to knit a couple of rows and I show you how to pick up the stitches in the end. Okay, I've already knitted a couple of rows so you can see what it looks like. This is our cast-on edge. Let's see it from the reverse. And now we're just going to pick up the stitches we need. Therefore, I need a smaller needle just to pick it up. It's always good to have a smaller needle around because it makes it much easier. Now I'm just going to show you these little pearl bumps are the actual stitches we're going to pick up. So we are picking up these bumps before we undo the whole provisional cast on, because that way it's much easier because we don't lose any stitches. As I said before, imagine you have like a 250 stitches on your needle fingering yarn and you lose a stitch and you go crazy. We don't even want to go there. So this is 1, and next stitch that's 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure you don't pick up your waste yarn. 6, and there's the last one, it's 7. So this is how it looks like. These are actual stitches, and that's the provisional cast on we're actually going to lose right now. I'm just going to pick up. You can use your other DPN, or in this case I just use my tapestry needle, and I'm starting to unravel this cast on. The beginning is a bit fiddly to get the right corner, but here you go. There's a little piece right there. We undo, and now it's so easy. Can you see? There's just a little tip I'm going to give you in case when you're at your, let's say, 240 stitch, you just want to snip this in between, so it's much easier, and otherwise you always have to pull that long string through. It's actually a quite satisfying feeling because the work is safe on your needles. And here we go. One more. And that's it. There we have it. And as I promised, let's see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 stitches, and here we only have 2, 4, 6, 7 stitches. So, but that's not a problem. I told you, we just need this little string. We need our tapestry needle. Pull it through. And the yarn actually is coming from underneath. I put it up and over the needle, and I'm going to pick my selvage stitch somewhere at the edge, push the needle through and pull the yarn through, and there you go. There's the missing stitch. Just a little detour. That's why I love my little garter stitch selvage edge, because it creates these little bumps, and they're so helpful because, as you see, I could pull my yarn through. In the end, I know how many rows I've knitted because I just count them. Like one knot stands for 2 rows, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8 rows. It helps me a lot, and the best thing is I can pick up stitches from it, and when I seam it, it's just a breeze. So keep that in mind. But here we are, 8 stitches on both needles, and we're ready to go. Actually, when you keep on knitting, of course, you start using the correct size of needle, and then you're all set. Thanks for watching and happy knitting!